Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be going into a few different topics about depression actually. And we're not going to go too deep into each one. That might be a separate video, but stay tuned if you're dealing with depression or somebody you know or you love is dealing with depression, amongst other things such as other mood disorders, chronic illnesses of any kind. These are also related topics with today's information. So tune in and let's get started. Make sure you look in the description for all the psychologists and psychotherapists, Western doctors, other experts that I continually study and research in these areas and these topics as well. So make sure you go over there and check that out for your own research purposes. Now, I'm not a doctor, and this is for information purposes only. And so this is not intended for a cure or in any way. So talk to your doctor before implementing any of this information or any supplements that I may talk about in this video. All right, let's get started. So like I said, we have about 6, maybe 7 main topics I want to cover. And we're just going to talk a little bit about each one. Like, please do your own research, look into these topics. These are natural alternative measures for depression, mood disorders, and also chronic illnesses. You may be struggling with physical illness. These also cross over into that area as well. So the first one I want to talk about is sunlight. So we need to get outside and get in the sunlight right away in the morning. It is very important that you get morning sunlight to help with your circadian rhythms. Okay, because it sets the mood for your entire day. It sets your circadian rhythms for the entire day and also the sleep the next night. So when you go outside, the sun hits your eyes, it hits your microbiome. The microbiome is, which we'll talk about next, but it's in your whole body. So the sunlight is so important in the morning. Get it into your eyes. You don't need to look at the sun, just looking in the direction of the sun, getting the sunlight to hit your eyes. And it helps with, the light actually goes into your brain and helps to produce serotonin and release neurotransmitters. And again, it helps you want to get in the sun as soon as you can in the morning. The earlier, the better. And also before 10 a.m.-ish is when it has, it's less negative UV rays. Okay, so that's number one with depression. You're going to get more vitamin D from the sun, of course, and so low vitamin D has been shown to be a factor with depression. So other than the sunlight, in this first section we're going to be talking about food and nutrition, and also nutrient deficiencies. Nutrient deficiencies are really important. It's not just for depression, for your whole health and well-being, physically and mentally, and especially mentally. So, poor nutrition, if you're eating a standard American diet, the SAD diet, if you're eating ultra-processed foods, if every single meal has sugar in it, if you're having soda drinks and sugary drinks and desserts, and also out drinking alcohol. All these things are very detrimental to the body and to the mind. So I am part of a low carb diet. So low carb diet, again, do your own research. What I do is a low carb diet. It's a combination of ketogenic diet and a carnivore diet, so it's a ketovore diet, low carb, animal based as well. So definitely research that. A lot of people are being helped, get lots of help with these kinds of diets. So, and that will help with nutritional deficiencies. So first of all, vitamin D deficiency. Need to get more look into getting more vitamin D. And as far as a supplement goes, research vitamin D3, K2. So I watch Dr. Eric Berg on YouTube. He does a lot of talks about vitamin D3, K2 among a lot of other experts and doctors as well. So look into that and look into, you need to be looking into B vitamins, a full B vitamin complex, vitamin B1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 12. So you try to get a complex with all those. Look into the methylated versions of folate, methylfolate, and methylcobalamin, so the methylated B12. Look into that as well. See if that is for you. I know I can't remember the name of another expert talks about depression and vitamin folate, vitamin B9. So getting the right B9, which is methylfolate, a methylated version, could help you. So the next is magnesium. 3/4 of the American population are deficient in magnesium. So definitely look into getting more magnesium. I like magnesium glycinate. Again, Dr. Berg has some magnesium supplements. There's a magnesium supplement with like 5 different magnesiums in it. It's like a magnesium complex. You can look into that. That can be very helpful. And so research how much you want to take daily, but you definitely want to look into getting some more magnesium, not just from the diet, but from supplementing. And another connected with depression is too low of zinc. So zinc is amazing for the immune system as well. It's a lot of different areas of the body that zinc is related to. So it's definitely apparently linked with depression as well. So the last one I'll talk about is omega-3 fatty acids are also linked with depression. So look into omega-3 fatty acids. I like to take cod liver oil. Again, Dr. Berg has a great cod liver oil. Actually, cod liver powdered capsules. So you can take that, or I also take a cod liver liquid in one of those big bottles from Norway or something like that. So I've gone back and forth and gotten Dr. Berg's powdered capsules, and I also have the liquid oil. I just take a spoonful of that every day, and that gives me my daily dose of omega-3 fatty acids and my daily dose of vitamin A, and it's got a little bit of vitamin D and vitamin E in there, I think. So that's all I'll say for the supplements. As far as standard American diet, ultra processed foods, those foods go into our bodies and start to deplete our own minerals that we already have in our body, and it disrupts our microbiome, our gut, our digestive system, and it causes that we don't absorb very much at all, and it hinders our absorption of anything that's in those, and usually those foods are very, very deficient in any kind of nourishment. So definitely, and it causes inflammation, which is going to be causing the issues with absorption and assimilation through the gut and the microbiome, the gut lining. So in the lining we have these little finger-like structures called the villi, and it lines the whole inside of the small intestines is lined with these little hair-like structures called villi, like my fingers. And so the food hits these things, these villi, and it starts to help to absorb and assimilate nutrients and bacteria and whatnot. So when you start eating processed foods, ultra processed foods, industrial seed oils that are oxidized oils, too much sugar, processed sugar, carcinogens or oxidation that's in the blood and in the food, toxins in the food and whatnot, it starts to just take the villi and just kind of crimps them up and makes them all distorted, and after a while it can do this, and it's just blocked, and that's where you can start get leaky gut and plaque buildup in the gut as well. The plaque buildup in the lining, because the body tries to fix this, and it just it goes there to fix it to make it lively again, and it can't do that because more toxins and more toxins and more toxins and more processed foods and alcohol and all the bad things, right? So moving on to the next section, this is becoming a detailed video of each one, but let's go on to the microbiome and the gut health. So we just talked about microbiome a little bit just there with the villi and the processed foods and all that. So we actually don't need to go into too much more detail. So it's when we eat processed foods, and the processed foods has pesticides and herbicides and glyphosates and too much oxalates or lectins or glutens and other things that our body is having trouble with. I won't go into detail about that. If you want some more detail on your microbiome, one of the best experts I've researched and studied is a woman, Mary Ruddick. Mary and R-U-D-D-I-C-K, Ruddick. And she has lots of hours and hours of lectures on YouTube that you can look into for microbiome. So research your microbiome, research your gut health. The one thing I will say is too much processed foods and ultra processed foods and other kind of toxins in the food and in the air and in the environment. It overloads your system, overloads your liver, and then it gets into your into your gut, and it causes inflammation. So the inflammation is partly where this all starts. Once there's inflammation, then you start getting your immune system gets a response, and that's when you get these sensitivities to food, and your gut lining starting to break down. And then once your gut lining breaks down, usually at that point you don't have very much stomach acid, which is a whole other topic. A lot of people don't have enough stomach acid to break down the foods, especially if you're not eating animal foods. If you're eating a plant-based diet and mostly plant-based food, you have to really look into, do research on your stomach acid. Usually these folks have too low stomach acid. It can't break down the proteins in the food and the plant material. It can't open the cell walls to extract any nutrients. And so it goes into your small intestine not digested enough. And so that starts to hurt the little villi and cause inflammation because things aren't broken down properly. And so what happens is the immune system gets a response, there's inflammation, there's gut inflammation, and then your villi gets attacked. And then what happens when the villi goes like this, and you have the cells of the cells in the walls surrounding your gut and your small intestine, so like around the lining of your gut, that gets broken down because the proteins aren't broken down properly and the cells from the food aren't broken down properly. So it starts putting little holes, and that's leaky gut. It gets little holes in the microbiome, or the holes in the gut lining. And so once proteins get through that wall and into the bloodstream, that's when your body starts going a little bit haywire, and that's when you start getting the autoimmune symptoms, MCAS, MCAS. So if you're having these kinds of things happen, do research on the acronym MCAS. Okay. The full acronym is escaping me right at this moment. So it's basically your body becomes sensitive or almost an allergic reaction, and so you get this like inflammation throughout your whole body just from food, and it's not going to come up. It probably is not going to come up as an allergy on an allergy test. So this is getting into histamine issues, and this could cause things to go a little more haywire. So autoimmune conditions and chronic illness and chronic disorders. So the first two sections, food and nutrition and vitamin and mineral deficiencies. And also, by the way, look into potassium deficiencies as well. Usually we're not getting enough potassium. If you're having heart palpitations, any heart issues at all, you need to look into the electrolytes. So research that you're getting enough electrolytes cannot be properly tested through blood serum tests. You need to have or erythrocyte transketolase, ETAC. That's what it is, ETAC test. So ask your doctor about the ETAC. I'm pretty sure that's the erythrocyte transketolase test. So look into that. You need to get your minerals like magnesium, potassium, sodium, calcium, those kinds of things. You need to get those looked at in a different way. You can't tell from the blood tests because the blood tests are not, it doesn't give you the right information. It doesn't tell you what's in the cells. So what's in the cells is important. What's in the blood for these kind of things, not important as in my research. You can't get the right amount, you can't get the right results from the blood test. So with that said, food nutrition deficiencies, sunlight, microbiome, and gut health. Let's move on to testosterone. So testosterone, mainly we're talking about males, young males, teenage males, and young adult males, but males of any age, of course. So young adult males, there's a lot. Apparently women are having their periods too young as well, but I don't know much else about that. But if you're a young male and having low testosterone or lower than normal, it can contribute to depression. It's been known to, it's very highly connected with depression. So testosterone, depression, irritability, fatigue and tiredness, low motivation. These are all in mood disorders. These are all connected with low testosterone. Why is there low testosterone? There's a lot of plastics in the food. There's plastics in the air, plastics in our environment, microplastics. So look into research microplastics if you're interested. Our bodies take these microplastics, our bodies take these microplastics from the food and from the environment, and our bodies see it as an estrogen. So it takes the place of an estrogen in the receptors of our estrogen receptors. So it causes the estrogen to go up and naturally a testosterone to go down. So look into this. It might even take the place of our testosterone receptors as well. I don't remember exactly. You have to just look that up and fact check that. So testosterone affects dopamine and neurotransmitters, as well as, by the way, it's going back to the gut. The gut is where most of our serotonin is processed and created. So if there's gut inflammation, if there's autoimmune inflammation from the gut, if there's too much processed foods, and the gut lining has been affected negatively, it's gonna have issues with creating enough serotonin, which is our happy chemical. That's our happy molecules. That's our long-term happy molecule is serotonin. Short-term happy molecule is dopamine. But we'll go into that in a minute. So, one more thing about the gut microbiome is it also negatively affects your vagus nerve. So do a little research on the vagus nerve, and that has a lot to do with chronic illness, chronic disorders, definitely mental health and depression, mood disorders. So vagus nerve is another big topic as well. That is part of the microbiome in the gut as well. So then we got testosterone. So testosterone, there's plastics in the water, plastics in the food. It's a hormone disruptor. So there's all kinds of household products is also hormone disruptors in our kitchen, in our laundry detergent, in our detergents for the dishwasher. There's for soaps we use, shampoos, makeups, lotions, all that kind of stuff. So go through your whole house and you look at, there's all the mainstream products that we have at our house is, unless they say, you know, no plastics or PFAs, or phthalates, PTHAL, phthalates, guess sounds like that, or, you know, microplastics. You need to look at a natural version of those things. So lots of makeup for women or anybody, lotions, soaps in the shower, other soaps, detergents, cleaning supplies, carpet has things in there like bromine. These are all hormone disruptors. So please look into that as well. That is disrupting your hormones and your hormone balance. It's messing with testosterone, estrogen levels, and amongst other things like your iodine and iodine receptors in your thyroid, messing with your metabolism, things like that. So that will start to get into issues with your HPA axis, which is your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis. And there's other axes as well in your brain and in your body that it affects. All right, guys, let's go on to the next topic, which is trauma. Now, trauma, everybody goes through trauma. Okay, we all have had childhood trauma of some kind, generally. Some more than others. Some are affected more than others. Some handle trauma better than others. Some handle it less. So it doesn't come down to. It really comes down to each person, and it's case by case basis. Because some person might have a load of trauma and they can get through it, you know, better, or they become more resilient. Some person goes through maybe a lesser trauma, and they don't handle it very well, and they spiral down and they become chronically ill, and they have mental health challenges, and their life is just, you know, reflects that, and it's just so much worse. And someone, like I said, could become more resilient and have more of a successful life. And that's just, each person's different. I did not do well with my trauma. It affected me very negatively. I started to have chronic illness by the time I was 11, 12, 13 years old. And by the time I was 16, 17, I was, you know, I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't wake up in the middle of the night with so much back pain that it was hard for me to breathe, and I couldn't barely walk and get out of bed. I was like literally like a 90, 100-year-old man that was just like kind of decrepit. And this was the start. You know, I went through kind of an up and down roller coaster ride for the next 20 years until like my late 30s, around 40s, when I kind of got over a lot of that. No chronic pain, no chronic illness anymore, that kind of stuff. And minus the tiny little, you know, bit that comes up every now and again. But anyways, trauma can affect people negatively in every way, mentally, physically, and especially mentally. So make sure you look into the trauma and that you may have had at any point, not just childhood, but you could have trauma later on in life, and it could cause PTSD and could cause depression. And you know, people that go to war veterans that come back from war and they have PTSD, and these, you know, then they develop depression and chronic illness and things like that. All these things that I'm talking about in the video here are going to can positively affect that. It may help you. So trauma is, do not overlook it. It's look for support, look for help, a support group. Talk to a therapist, talk to friends, talk to family member that may be able to support you and help you with that trauma. I've personally used a lot of different natural modalities. I got into martial arts, you know, and then little by little, as I got older, the trauma kept coming up. And so I had to look at it. And so I couldn't, I was looking at it at a very young age. I wasn't one of those people that stuffed it away for years and years and years. I was like, all right, this is, well, I couldn't not stuff it away really because it was just too overwhelming. And I'm just not that kind of a person. So I had the martial arts training that I got into, and then I started to get into personal development and personal growth, that kind of stuff. Anthony Robbins, other people in that field. And then I got into yoga, and then I got into kind of like energy healing, and with yoga and sound healing and just all the different like alternative and energy healing stuff. And I got into more the Tai Chi, Qigong as well. And so a lot of those modalities is what really helped me, but work with my trauma. But what really is a big piece of the puzzle that I didn't just say was Western psychology, and particularly cognitive behavioral therapy. So CBT. So cognitive behavioral therapy was really helpful for me. I had an actual psychologist that I went to weekly that really helped. And then I did an online course with, what's his name? A gentleman from Scotland. It was an online course, like 50 hours. Well, it ends up being like 100 hours. And it was really like a crash course of cognitive behavioral therapy and being able to psychoanalyze yourself. And that's really, really important. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn how to unpack this trauma, how to deal with them, Socratic thinking, Socratic questioning. And that really helped with also anxiety, PTSD, and panic disorder as well. So look into that. That really helped me. So when you have PTSD, you have, your body goes into cortisol and adrenaline, and you can't sleep, and then it's just a vicious cycle, which you obviously, because you're watching this video, you probably know all about. You can't sleep, then your circadian rhythms are off, and then your cortisol is too high, your adrenaline's too high, your HPA axis, your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal gland connection is just on high alert. It's hypervigilance. It's like firing. And so what happens is that you have these old thoughts of trauma, and sometimes, after a while, it's just subconscious. Usually, it's not often that PTSD is very conscious until you start working on it and start uncovering what they are, what's actually going on. So with trauma and PTSD, if the longer you go without working out this trauma, you can stuff it away for so long, but later on these things can cause health conditions and mental health disorders and depression and things like that, and then it starts causing issues with sleep, and your body can only hold on to these things so long. So when you start unpacking this trauma, it's really good to have support and have help, and I'm actually writing a book about this right now, and you need to work this out so you can get to the root causes of the trauma. So depression is definitely connected to trauma and PTSD. So look into that in more detail. I'll be doing some more videos about this, so tune in. If you haven't already, like and subscribe and comment below on maybe what's going on with you, and maybe we can get some people commenting, or I can comment back, give you some support and point you in the right direction, or even do a video about things if you want for me to do a video on these areas, anything particularly at all, or anything from this video, please comment below.